So GTA 6 is on the way, set to release sometime in 2025 or more than likely 2026. And I was just thinking today about the kind of hype levels and the I think this is probably the most anticipated video game of all time. A lot of analysts out there, a lot of, reporters out there are suggesting this might be the biggest entertainment launch of all time. So, theoretically, the most anticipated piece of entertainment content that is ever released in the history of humanity. That's like a fucking wild concept to even try to understand. But GTA 6 is on the way. And with this level of hype, this level of excitement, the anticipation, the buzz, I'm curious, like, what will Grand Theft Auto 6, is it even possible for Grand Theft Auto 6 to live up to the expectations just given how high those expectations are? I mean, we're talking about a franchise that, not considering the PlayStation 1 games, but from GTA 3 in 2001 all the way up to GTA 5 in 2013, like every single one of those games, all of the main games, including also Vice City and San Andreas, they're all sitting somewhere around like a 95 or better on Metacritic. Like those are crazy, crazy numbers. Like, how do you even live up to your own uh, your history, your legacy? Like, how do you even live up to yourself? And I mean, this is a studio or multiple studios, but Rockstar as an overall brand. We're talking about a company that puts out not just game of the year contenders and winners with pretty much everything they drop, but we're talking about a company that puts out generational defining games. We're talking about a company that puts out some of the greatest games ever. And kind of with everything they drop, the expectation is that this should be one of the greatest games ever. Like, that's a really, really high bar to live up to. So I guess that's where I want to kick it back to y'all with, like, is that what you're expecting? Are y'all expecting, when you put that $70 or let's say $120, $150 down for the deluxe edition or whatever, but let's just say when you put that $70 down for the base version, are you expecting in return to get a game that is of that caliber, one of the greatest games of all time, or the greatest game of all time, when all things are considered, when you're considering the 10-year development cycle, when you're considering that this was probably over $1 billion for the budget, when also factoring in marketing and all that? Are you expecting this thing to be one of the greatest games, if not the greatest game of all time? And also, like, is that even is that an invalid expectation? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, that is your 10 years in a company. This is the only company in the world that can be granted that level of blank check freedom where you can really just say whatever fucking number you want and know that that is going to get handed down from the top because you're going to make that money back almost instantly. So with that, you kind of lead to the assumption of, yeah, you're the only company that could even achieve this bar. So we're expecting you to hit it or get damn close. My big expectation, or I guess the thing, maybe more so a hope than an expectation if I'm being totally honest, but the thing I really want more than anything is just to feel more agency in this world. I want to feel like I'm actually having an impact on what is going on from a narrative standpoint. And I don't mean necessarily, just picking dialogue options, and like I don't think it has to be that. I don't think you have to get in the weeds where you're making pretty much a Mass Effect or a Witcher 3 or anything with that level of depth in terms of the amount of choices that you have, but just like a slightly more reactive and slightly more emergent moments that are occurring more frequently, where you actually do feel like you have an impact on what is taking place. Like, it'd be so cool to me where, say you're in a mission and like someone hired a hitman to come and track you down, and the hitman gets out the car to come and kill you. You end up killing the hitman, and then you get into the hitman's car and you read through his text, like you grab his phone off his body, read through his text, you hop in his car, and you see the person that hired the hitman. So you reply back to the hitman, the job is done, da 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 da. We'll meet at I'll swing by your house, we'll meet at this gas station, whatever the case may be. And you pull up in the hitman's car, and the dude like walks over to the car because he's familiar with the car, and he's expecting the hitman to get out and exchange, the dude will pay him and all the pleasantries. But you're in the car, so you gun him down, whatever the case may be. But the flip side scenario could be that you just kill the hitman, you don't take the phone off his body, you don't hop in the car, and then you have to go around and try to find more details on who hired the hitman. Or say maybe you take the phone off the hitman's body, but you don't think to hop in the car, so that whenever you go and track down the guy who hired the hitman, he takes off running. He's not feeling as like when he sees the hitman's car. In the A scenario, he walks towards the car because he's familiar with the car. But if you meet at a location, you go flying in a car that he's unfamiliar with, alarms will sound off, and not like literal, but alarms in his head will sound off, and he'll be like, oh shit, something is definitely off here. So he takes off running, and then you got to go and chase him down and engage in a fucking shootout or whatever the case may be. Whereas in the A scenario, the dude just walks up to you thinking that you're the hitman, you roll the window down, pop him real quick, and it's just like a 2-second mission. But on the B side or the C side, it ends up turning into this 20-minute thing. Like, I would love for just that level of emergent storytelling that you feel that you have a level of control over, where you and I can play the same exact mission but get drastically different results. And once again, I'm well aware that those are pretty high expectations. That's not shit that you see often in mini games whatsoever. I think for me, once again, I kind of categorize that as a hope. I don't know if I necessarily look at that as an expectation. I think it'd be cool to just have moments like that. But even just stuff like Grand Theft Auto 4, where you can make slight little choices. Does this guy live? Does he die? Just little things like that to make you feel more involved. And so I think that would be more kind of baseline expectations, as well as some San Andreas sim elements. I really like those sim elements, man. I like going around and being able to lift weights and see your character kind of get swole and go do some running, increase your stamina. I really, really love that. And I wish they would have never taken it out with Grand Theft Auto 4. But at the same time, I know people are kind of split on that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had some data where it's like, yeah, more people disliked that than liked it, so then they removed it. And it's like that's the type of shit that corporations got to corporate. Just kind of spitballing here, talking shit about some other things I'd really like to see. I would like to see much more freedom in fights and really kind of lean into that hand-to-hand combat and flesh that out a good deal. I think they did a really good job in Red Dead 2 of making the hand-to-hand combat feel much more satisfying and immersive. And I just think it's so important to have options in hand-to-hand combat, because there are so many options in hand-to-hand combat that are often not accounted for in games. And I was playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 recently and enjoyed it, finished it, good story, really strong story. But something that really stuck out to me like a sore thumb was, you're in a sword fight or whatever, and you can't aim the sword at an enemy's leg and like dagger that damn sword through their kneecap. They can have this completely unprotected, unarmored, unshielded knee just sitting there right there in plain view, and you can't just dagger that damn sword through it. And I don't know. I know Grand Theft Auto isn't trying to necessarily create that level of realism and such a simmy feel to their games, but I do think if they kind of take a little bit of that Red Dead 2 DNA into GTA 6 and try to offer up a slightly more immersive, realistic experience, It would be dope. You know, you're in a fist fight and you're able to kick a dude in the leg, and then he kind of hobbles or stumbles for a second, and then maybe there's like you hold L1 and press up on the right analog stick, and you're able to do like a single leg takedown and grab the leg that he's hobbling on. And I don't know, you know, he's off balance. So now that he's off balance, you have more of a likelihood of being able to take him down. There's things like that you know, you've just never seen before. And I think that's what I'm sitting here trying to figure out, is what is the thing that we've never seen before? Because they're gonna have something. They're gonna have something that's unlike anything we've ever seen before. There's no way that they put that amount of money, that level of talent, that amount of just resources into a game, and we don't get something that is groundbreaking on some level. You know, even with GTA 5, the swapping characters in that you know, being able to swap characters, and then Trevor's off doing his own thing and Michael's off doing his own thing and Franklin's off doing his own thing, and they all have these somewhat dynamic feeling lives that they're living even when you're not living it for them. That was really fucking revolutionary at the time. It was so impressive. The tech was so impressive. And so yeah, man, my expectations are really high. They're really high for this game. I can't sugarcoat it. I don't know, and that could very well be a bit unfair. I'll admit that straight up. It could be a bit unfair. You know, I don't go into most games with this level of expectation. I don't go into pretty much any other game ever with this level of hype either, though. And I think that kind of comes with it. You know what I mean? That's just, you can't have one without the other, I don't think. Games that you're just excited for, but you're not over the moon. Like the if the anticipation isn't through the roof, then it's probably because you're like, yeah, you know, I think I know what I'm gonna get from that thing. It'll be good. It'll be fine. But with this, it's like, oh shit, we could be gearing up for something really special. Unlike anything we've ever seen before. So of course, yeah, expectation and hype, they kind of go hand in hand to some degree. And I'm not saying that, listen, I'm not going to be bummed out if we play Grand Theft Auto 6 and the things that I'm sitting here and imagining up don't come to fruition. Like, that's not it at all. I'm just trying to think of what it is that we could see. And like, if we get a thing where it's essentially a better version of Red Dead 2's hand-to-hand combat, a better version of GTA 5's shooting, I think it needs to be significantly better than GTA 5 shooting. It's not that GTA 5 shooting is bad, per se, but I would be a little bit bummed if the shooting wasn't on par with, like, at least Uncharted 4. If the shooting and the cover shooting and all of that wasn't on par with at least Uncharted 4, that would be kind of a bummer. You know what I mean? Because Uncharted 4 came out 3 years after GTA 5, and it felt like 10 years had gone by in terms of mechanics and polish, and just the shooting felt so much better. And, you know, kind of stealthing around and just the movement before you're engaging in the gunfires. It was just so much better. And so I think that level of expectation for the shooting is kind of my bare minimum with GTA 6. And honestly, The Last of Us 2, I would not mind seeing, you know, in these big, huge, bombastic action set pieces, imagine being able to go prone and lie under a car and shoot people while you're, you know, lying under a car, taking them out. Unsuspected enemies, bow, popping them in the head, like, you know, jumping, diving back, lying on your back, kind of some Max Payne elements. Yeah, maybe we're going a little bit overboard here, but it's I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over here, but it is that thing where it's like, what are we gonna get? We haven't seen anything, because I'm recording this. You know, we haven't got trailer 2. Of the time of recording this, we only have that one trailer where there's not a millisecond of gameplay in there. I think what we saw in that trailer will be very reflective of what the game looks like. I don't think Rockstar really isn't the type of company to put out a trailer and the game isn't very similar. Like, they're not baiting and switching anybody. That is a company that actually can pull off the shit that they showed in their debut trailer, which is impressive in and of itself. But we were all in speculation territory, hope territory, dreams territory, anticipation, expectation, because we don't really have anything. We don't have confirmation of anything. So we're just kind of drumming up a bunch of hype for Rockstar, which that's like the best marketing they could ever get. We sit here and just speculate about shit, just keep the name Grand Theft Auto 6 in the zeitgeist. I mean, right now you got people making full-blown, like, full-time careers out of just speculating about Grand Theft Auto 6 and predicting when the next trailer is going to happen. And unfortunately, there's a lot of accounts out there that just make up fake information about the game and garner a following that way, which is, a bummer. But I mean, people are making a full-time living just speculating about Grand Theft Auto 6. It's fucking nuts. It's absolutely nuts. Like, we haven't seen anything like this ever, I don't think. I mean, the only thing I feel that could be comparable is maybe in-game, Avengers Endgame, at least in my lifetime, that I remember this level. Maybe, what was that, 1999, when Star Wars came back with Phantom Menace, right? Yeah, the Phantom Menace was the first one. When it came back in 99, that maybe there was something similar there, but I was still pretty young. I didn't necessarily feel I definitely felt the fervor. I definitely felt the hype, but man, this just feels like a different beast. In game, definitely there was that level of speculation and people really diving into the weeds and trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen in the follow-up. But once again, I don't know if it's hitting this level of hype. And I guess kind of staying right there, what are y'all expecting sales-wise for this thing? Like we talked about, a lot of very, very reputable analysts are talking about this game being possibly the biggest piece of entertainment to have ever released, the most financially successful piece of entertainment to ever drop.
So Grand Theft Auto 6 should be the biggest entertainment launch in U.S. history across anything. That's where the expectations set.
And so, like, you have people like Matt Piscatella. I don't know if he said exactly that. I don't want to incorrectly attribute that quote to him, but he said something similar where it's like it could be the biggest, the biggest piece of media to ever drop. And that's like, what are those numbers? What is the biggest piece of media to ever drop? What is that for, like, year one sales, I wonder? Are we talking about, Grand Theft Auto 5, I think, hit around 30? Let me look this up, actually. So, okay, yeah, GTA 5 hit 32.5 million units sold in its first year. So, are y'all expecting Grand Theft Auto 6 to top that? Do you think it's going to top 32.5 million units sold? That just... that seems like such a steep mountain to climb, man. 32.5 million units in the first year. GTA 6 is going to launch on PS5 with an install base of around, let's say, 70 million. By the time it comes out, probably closer to 80, 85 maybe, if it comes out in 2026. And a lot of people are going to buy PlayStations just for GTA 6 and Xboxes just for GTA 6. So let's just say that PS5, it comes out and PS5's around 80 million units sold. And the Xbox Series X, let's say it is around, right now it's at like 30 or so. Let's say it comes out around 40. So you're talking about 80 mil and 40 mil. I mean, dude, you got to think that when the PS3, whenever GTA 5 released on the PS3 and 360, the 360 at the time had like 70 plus million consoles sold. and the 360 and PS3 were both kind of around that 70 million console sold range, because GTA 3 came out in 2013, the final year of that console generation's life cycle. So their install base was like damn near maxed out. And so they got to benefit from that out the gate. You're talking about, let's just say 140 million units from the PS3 and 360 combined, to compared to what did I say, 80 and 40, like 120. So you would think theoretically that should hurt Grand Theft Auto 6's first year. In comparison, it should hurt the first. It's not gonna. We're not talking about Grand Theft Auto 6. I shouldn't even use the word hurt in talking about what Grand Theft Auto 6's first year success is going to look like. But in comparison to GTA 5, you would think that 32.5, it won't be able to hit that with a smaller install base in that first year. But could we see a scenario where like 30, 40 plus million people buy a console just for Grand Theft Auto 6? Like, is it, I mean, I know people throw around, I throw around the term system seller all the time for games like, a Spider-Man, a God of War, a Halo, back in the day, the OG Xbox. Like, I throw those terms around all the time because I view those games as system sellers. But you're talking about, 5-10 million consoles sold specifically for those games, probably. So like the idea of 40 plus million people buying a console just for that one game is like staggering, if that's even a possibility. Listen, I'm not an analyst. I'm sitting here just fucking rambling off the top of my dome here, but I don't know. I want to hear y'all's prediction, y'all's sales prediction. Pin it now. Let me know in the comments. What are y'all predicting the sales figure, the first year sales figures, to be for Grand Theft Auto 6? Because we know, obviously, by the end of the generation, it's going to surpass 100 million units sold, no doubt about it. But like, let's say 35 mil, over or under. That would be, let's just go 32.5, because that was around what GTA 5 sold in its first year. Over or under 32.5. A part of me just like, I don't know. Maybe it's because we're in the moment right now. We're in the hype period, but it feels like this could have a crazy attach rate where damn near everybody who owns a system goes out to buy this thing on day one, or at least year one. I wonder what they would like consider or constitute as like a failure. And once again, there's no chance where Grand Theft Auto 6 fails in any way, shape, or form. I guess actually let's stay there, because I was more thinking about like sales figures, what they would look at as a failure from a sales standpoint. But let's stay there. What would they look at as a failure from like a reception standpoint? So considering that every mainline game, Grand Theft Auto game since 2001 has been like a 90, 90 or higher, let's just say, on Metacritic. I think even 95 or higher for every game. I could be wrong on that. Would they look at an 89 as a failure? I would think they probably would. I know that that's so crazy. Most companies would be jumping over the moon to get an 89. But I feel like they might look at an 89 as a failure, because there's old school, for people who have been listening to podcasts for a long time and massive nerds like myself. You'll hear some crazy stories about Rockstar back in the day, calling up companies after they reviewed their game at like an 8.5 or a 9 or whatever, and being like, oh, what the fuck? This criticism here, why'd you drop our score because of this? And obviously the climate has changed dramatically since then. I doubt that will happen in the current climate, but that and it's totally a different regime over there at Rockstar. But I do think some of that spirit probably lives on, where it's like, if they're under a 90, I think they'll be pissed about that. I'm sitting here and I'm just like trying to think of I'm already thinking ahead to this period of like, what would the drawback be? What would be like the main criticism that gets brought up in the reviews of GTA 6 when it comes out? If there was anything that could possibly drop it to like an 8.9, what would that thing be? And the main thing I thought about was maybe if it's like short. after the 10-year buildup, waiting 10 years for the follow up to GTA 5. Maybe it's short, and it's like a 15 to 18 hour long story for the main story. Maybe people ding it for that. Maybe online it isn't functional day one, or maybe they have it there but it's like totally broken day one, so maybe it gets dinged for that. Like, I'm already, none of this shit matters, but it is fun to just sit here and speculate about a game that is this like colossal. It's this just fucking towering beast that's slowly but surely getting closer and closer to actually revealing itself. And it's like, I don't know, you're anticipating the build up, or we're like, what is this thing actually going to be? So yeah, hit me with all your thoughts, man. All your thoughts on all this shit. I think it's a fascinating game to talk about. But yeah, man, hit me in the comments, your thoughts, speculation, all of that in the comments below. I think I just said in the comments twice in a row there, but hit me in the comments. There's 3 times for you. Let me know all of your thoughts on just your expectations for the game, your hopes, your wishes, your sales predictions, your review score predictions. Let me know all that shit in the comments down below. I'm really, really curious, man. So yeah, appreciate y'all for tuning in, and I shall see you very soon. Goodbye.